Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. In the heart of Saudi Arabia's industry, from the massive oil fields to the huge construction sites that are literally building our future, success often hangs by a thread, or to be more accurate, by a simple steel wire rope. It might seem like a basic component, but the integrity of this one part is one of the most critical and honestly most overlooked assets in your entire operation. Today, we're going to dive into how to protect it. So, here's our game plan. First up, we'll talk about why these ropes are the absolute lifeline of your operation. Then, we'll uncover some of the unseen threats that can seriously damage them before they're even put to work. After that, we'll walk through the professional standards for taking care of them. And finally, we'll show you how our partnership here at SSTC goes way beyond just supplying a product to truly secure your operations. Every single day, in our most important sectors, steel wire ropes are the silent workhorses doing the heavy lifting. In oil and gas, you can't drill or run offshore operations without them. In construction, they're lifting the very materials that build our skylines. They are quite literally the lifeline that keeps your whole operation moving. Now check out this number, because it really tells the story. An estimated 90%, that's 90, of all critical heavy lifts in industrial settings are trusting their load, their schedule, and their safety to a steel wire rope. Just think about that. The success of a multi-million real project is basically focused right on this one single component. So this brings us to a really crucial question. With so much riding on these ropes, can we just assume their strength is guaranteed the second they show up at our facility? Well, the answer, unfortunately, is a hard no. The risk often starts way before that rope is ever put to use. And this is where that hidden cost comes into play. You see, the biggest threat to your wire rope isn't always the massive load it's going to carry. No, it's the damage that happens quietly, while it's just sitting in storage. We've all seen it, right? A brand new rope just left on the ground at a busy site, uncovered, exposed to everything. That's how a valuable asset gets destroyed before it ever does a single day's work. An exposed rope is a vulnerable rope. On a busy work site, it can easily get hit by welding sparks from a nearby job, and that can weaken the steel. Accidental hits from forklifts or other heavy equipment can cause kinks and flat spots. But the most dangerous threat, especially for us here in the coastal regions, is condensation. Moisture gets trapped deep inside the strands, leading to rust and corrosion from the inside out. The fallout from these seemingly small storage mistakes is just enormous. And look, we're not just talking about a broken cable here. We're talking about a complete operational shutdown, massive financial penalties for project delays, and, most importantly, a serious threat to the safety of every single person on your site. For any plant manager or operations engineer in the kingdom's critical industries, this is the bottom line. It doesn't matter if you're running a production line, an offshore rig, or a major construction project. Downtime is simply not an option you can afford, period. So the big question is, how do we prevent all this? Well, it all comes down to following the professional standard for storage and inventory management. It's not rocket science, but it does take discipline and the right setup. So let's break down exactly what these best practices look like. Okay, for indoor storage, the rules are pretty clear, and there's a good reason for each one. First, you need a dry and cool environment. That's key to stopping rust and keeping the ropes lubricant from breaking down. Second, ropes have to be stored up on pallets or racks, always. Leaving them on a concrete floor is just asking for moisture to seep in. And third, you need good ventilation to stop condensation from forming when the temperature changes. Now, if you absolutely have to store ropes outside, you've got to be even more careful. They have to be covered, but here's the secret. A simple plastic tarp is one of the worst things you can use. It traps all the humidity underneath and basically creates a little greenhouse for rust. What you need is a material that's waterproof and breathable, so it blocks the rain but lets any condensation escape. This is absolutely vital for protecting the rope's core. This brings us to a super important inventory principle: first in, first out, or FIFO. Think of it like the milk in your fridge. You always use the oldest one first, right? It's the same idea. This system makes sure you're always using your oldest stock first. And why does that matter? It stops a brand new rope from sitting in the back of a warehouse for years, slowly degrading, while newer ones get used instead. It's about respecting the shelf life of every single asset you own. All right, so knowing all these standards is one thing, but actually putting them into practice and making sure they're followed day in and day out, that's a whole other challenge. And this is where we have to start thinking beyond just buying a product and start looking for a true operational partner. So, let's be practical for a second. Tayyib, you know the rules now. But who on your team is actually dedicated to managing all of this? Who is making sure every single rope is stored correctly, that your inventory follows FIFO, and that everything is inspected before it goes out to the site? A simple supplier relationship just doesn't cover that. And that's exactly where we, Safe and Secure Trading Company, come in. Yani, we offer a lot more than just wire ropes. We provide what we call the SST partnership, a complete local solution that's designed from the ground up to guarantee your operational continuity. First things first, our credibility is your peace of mind. As an Aramco-approved supplier and an ISO-certified partner, we operate at the absolute highest standards for quality, safety, and reliability required here in the kingdom. And that's not just a piece of paper, it's our promise of excellence to you. So what does our partnership look like? Well, it's a complete turnkey solution. It all starts with an expert consultation to make sure you get the exact right product for your specific application. Then, we deliver it anywhere in the kingdom. But we don't just drop it at the gate. Our engineers provide professional installation and commissioning, and we stand right by your side with lifetime local support and maintenance. So when you lay it all out, the choice is pretty clear. On one hand, you can work with an overseas supplier who just sends a box. You're left with long lead times, zero local support, and a really high risk of downtime. Or you can partner with us at SSTC for a complete solution that includes fast delivery across Saudi Arabia, local engineering support right here on the ground, and a strategy that actively reduces your risk. The takeaway here is simple, really. Don't just buy a product. Invest in a complete solution from an Aramco-approved partner. Invest in the confidence that your critical assets are protected and that your operations will keep running without any interruptions. So we invite you to get the right product, but backed by the hands-on local engineering, installation, and maintenance support that only we can provide right here in the kingdom. Reach out to us for a technical consultation. Shukran. We really look forward to helping your operations succeed. We'll just leave you with this one final thought. So often, an operation's weakest link is that one simple thing that everyone overlooks. So you have to ask yourself, is your lifeline truly secure?